money. It is so crazy to me to think that my last financial video has now thousands of views and that I've gotten like a whole bunch of new subscribers. It's particularly intimidating to know that so many people have tuned in to watch me cry and explain how terrible I am with money and like what a mess my life is right now. And then to open myself up to all that criticism, it's a little bit, it makes my butthole. I know. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. There's thousands of people watching. Anyway, I'm just being real. Like there's literally nothing else I can do except for be super real with you. Anyway, as intimidating as it is, I'm also so thankful for you guys, for watching, for subscribing, and especially for leaving so many nice comments and so much constructive criticism and advice. It has been amazing, and it's helped me to make some really tough financial decisions. So thank you. As a result of my last video, I realized that I didn't really talk about my situation very well because I've gotten some questions like, why did you kick out your tenant, and a bunch of stuff. So I'm just gonna recap my situation. For some of you, this might be like add a little bit of clarity. For people who are just joining, I mean, welcome to my dumpster fire, I guess. Okay, in June of 2022, I was living in this place that I'm sitting right now with my common law husband of 17 years and our 2 daughters. And it's a duplex. Chase, that's my ex, Chase and I lived on this side with our kids. And then a very nice man lived on the other side. And my landlord came to us and said he was selling the place. When we were faced with buying or finding another spot to live, we figured it would be cheaper for us to buy the place because we had 2 incomes, number one. Like, that's important. I was living here with 2 incomes. We had a tenant next door who obviously paid rent, so that helped to offset our mortgage. We bought the place, that was July. And we bought it like from him directly, so we saved like realtor costs and all sorts of stuff. Like at the time it sounded like a really good, sound financial decision. There's other, I mean, go watch my last video for the variable rate mortgage and stuff like that. But long story short, it ended up costing us more than we had anticipated. 6 months later, in January of this year, Chase and I broke up. And again, at the time, it sounded like a better option. So we live in a really tiny town, and there are very few rental opportunities here. And anything that is available is much more than our mortgage. After deliberating for a month, trying to figure out what we could do and how we could make it work, we decided that the best course of action would be to ask our neighbor and tenant to leave, and Chase moved next door, okay, to live in the other unit. So that's why I don't have a tenant, is because Chase and I both needed a place to live and we couldn't live together, and he moved out next door. So now, instead of having, splitting the bills for one half of this place, now we're still paying the whole mortgage. I pay half the mortgage, he pays the other half. Now we each have sets of bills, right? Hydro, heat, water, all of that stuff now for 2 apartments. We've been splitting all of those bills. So that's why I'm in such deep financial doo-doo, is things were already tight and now I don't have a rental income and I'm paying, a whole set of bills. Does that make sense? Here's the situation with the house. I'm gonna get to the financial decisions that I'm making. This is one of those financial decisions that is still up in the air. I now have a few choices. The first choice, and it's my number one choice, it's not Chase's number one choice, he wants to keep the place. My number one choice is to sell the place if we can sell it at a profit. If it's gonna put me into more debt, it makes more sense for me to stay here because at least I have a place to live. And I have a place to live that would be cheaper than me renting anywhere else. So that is the reason why I would stay, is if I cannot get money out of this place. I personally don't think that we could sell it at a profit. Now, I don't think we could sell it, doesn't mean we can't. So in November, I'm gonna have a realtor come in and evaluate and appraise the place and see if we can get out of here without it costing us money. If that's the case and I can recoup a little bit of money and put it towards my debt, then I will do that, and I will live with my parents until I find a new place. But only until I find a new place within like this area, because I have 2 children who go to school, who are established, and I don't want to have to disrupt their lives any more than I already have these past like 9 months. So that's option number 1, is to sell the place. Option number 2, we talked about to stay. The complications with staying are that obviously I live next door to my ex-husband, which I don't think is very healthy. This breakup has been difficult, and it is very, I don't know. That being said, it's not horrible, okay? Another thing I should add in here before I get any further is that Chase and I share custody of the children 50-50. So for 1 week they're at my house, the next week they're at his, and they switch back and forth. And it's a great situation for the kids, because if they want to see us, if they want to pop next door and get something they forgot or whatever, like, it's great. They have free reign of both sides, really. And in that way, staying is ideal. So another option would be someone takes over my half of the mortgage, and I get paid out a little bit, and I get to leave. So like maybe if he has a friend or a girlfriend who wants to move in, and then they could rent out my side and whatever, like that would be ideal, because then we both get what we want. The problem is he can't afford this place on his own, and I mean, I don't know if he has a friend with that kind of money to buy me out and take over my mortgage, okay? Option number 3 is I rent out my side and I move somewhere else. The issue with this, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses. I'm just trying to be really realistic about this whole thing. If I rent out my side to somebody, that takes care of all of my bills, and it's amazing. But I need to find another place to live. And also, the huge risk here is that we get a tenant who doesn't pay their rent, and then I'm now responsible for my mortgage here and wherever else I live. And I don't have that kind of money to just lay down and, you know, pay for a mortgage and an apartment. On top of that, if you have a tenant in and something breaks, for example, my dishwasher doesn't work right now, and if I had to replace that, I would have to do that immediately, whereas now I can just live with a broken dishwasher. If something were to happen to the house and I had a tenant, it needs to be fixed right away. And I don't also have the money for house repairs to do that. If I have to keep the house, it's better if I just live here, I think. My parents have offered to let me live with them, which is very nice and very generous, and I appreciate it, and I love them very much. On paper, it looks like the best option. Like, why don't you just go live with your parents and rent your side out or sell? And I love this, and I would be willing to do it for like a couple of months while I looked for a new place. The problem is, I think it would kill me. Like, I really don't think it's a good idea in terms of my mental health to live with my parents. Again, I love them, and I'm not saying anything bad about them. I'm just saying that we would likely murder each other. On top of that, it's not like my parents' house has a bunch of spare rooms and we're just ready to move me and my 2 children in there, right? They have spare bedrooms, but they've been turned into like a closet and an office. And my parents right now don't even sleep in the same room. They don't even sleep on the same floor. So if we moved in, then we would be forcing them to modify that again. They'd have to get rid of a bunch of stuff just to accommodate us. Like, it's not as simple as just saying, okay, Mom, I'm gonna move in and sleep on your couch. It's like, I've got 2 children who live with me for a week at a time. And it's really disruptive to them. My children don't really wanna live there. It's, you know, I don't know. There's something to be said for financial stability, but if I can make enough money where I don't have to do that, I would prefer not to do that. I think that covers all of my options. I hope that helps clear things up a little bit. So let's talk about financial decisions that I've made. Largely, like, thank you again for the advice in the comments, because I've done a lot this past week. If you watched my last video, you knew that I had a bunch of subscriptions, some of which I kept just because my father-in-law used them. And they used to rent like a lot of movies on my Amazon Prime account, and like I was paying like $100 a month essentially in subscriptions, which was way too much. And Chase and I split all of those subscriptions down the middle. But I told my ex that I'm not paying for any more of these subscriptions, and I canceled my Prime subscriptions, which was like the biggest expense. I feel really bad because I really wanted to keep that going for my in-laws, but unfortunately you guys are right, I can't afford it, and it's time, like, I need to be a little bit more selfish. So the only subscription that I kept was Netflix, and the reason for that is because it's literally the only TV we get here. I don't get cable, I don't get like, you know, just like the basic channels. I don't get any of that. And I do have 2 children, and I feel like, you know, $18 a month is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. What else can I tell you? I was really attached to my job because I work from home, and people are saying that my internet's too high and that I should cancel my internet. I literally can't because I work from home. And I have a lot of flexibility, and I love my team, and there's like so many reasons. I've been at my job for 15 years. If they let me go, I get like a crazy severance package. Like, it's hard to let go of that flexibility and that stability and the fact that I like my job. But I've had to take a really hard look at my finances and realize, like, I can't afford to stay there. I can get paid like 6 figures somewhere else, and right now I make about $70,000. I've updated my resume, and I am currently actively searching for a new job. I have applied for some like, I don't know, after school jobs. Something I can do in the evenings and on the weekends to make a little bit more money while I'm looking for like my forever job. And so I have an interview tomorrow actually for evening and weekend cashier work. So hopefully I can just get something else that supplements my income for now. What else have I done? I'm looking for a new job. I have a job interview. I canceled my subscriptions. I think that's basically it for now. It's a lot. I'll come back and do a separate video where we go through my paycheck and where all my money's going, because this one is already way too long. But I hope that helps to clear things up for people. I'm excited to be making actual like decisions and taking action to make my situation better, because I think for a long time I just sort of was ignoring it out of anxiety. I'm really good at avoiding stuff and it's time to stop doing that. So anyway, thank you again, and I will talk to you soon in another one. Okay, bye.